Welcome to another series of Between Two Feathers. I am your host, Bryan Chapman, with my other co-host, Stacey Geddes, and we love to have you here. As you know, this is a monthly pre-recorded series that reviews the latest updates, bug fixes, improvements, and upcoming releases of Synthesize platform in a not so serious way. This show also features interviews and case studies with employees and MSP partners who are referred to as flock stars, flaminglets, winged warriors, feathered phenoms, and so forth. The series aims to provide a fun and informative overview of the Synthesize platform and its developments, highlighting the people behind its success. So stay tuned and watch on demand within our resource center in-app. Hit and spam that fill the flamingo, our little flamingo in the bottom right hand corner when you go to log into Gradient or Synthesize. And in fact, you can just jump straight to the placeholders or chapters from the video timeline below. So that way you can jump to the things that matter most. So without further ado, let's review our agenda. We're going to take some time. Stacey's going to review March, all the bugs and improvements, integrations, roadmap. We're going to be have our guest speaker, Rick, often referred to as Roadmap Rick, with us and talking about all the latest and greatest in the month of March and coming up. We're also going to be reviewing Flock Talk. And if you don't already know, that is our feedback portal. And yes, we throw out a lot of bird puns as usual. But in any case, we're going to follow up and review all the upcoming events, which is really exciting. There's some really awesome things happening behind the scenes, and we want to keep you up to date. So, Stacey, what are the bugs squashed for the month of March?
You know, it's been a busy month. We've been doing a lot here internally and getting things up to date and just finishing a lot. So if you want to go ahead, we'll jump right in and we'll take a look at the CSV improvements that have come across the line. We've had a few pretty significant improvements here. So we'll say canceling the CSV profile at the account mapping step would show the profile is available when it in fact was not. A little bit frustration there. So we do appreciate some patience there as we did work through that. We did experience some issues with larger files coming in with CSV imports that did give us some 500 and 504 errors. That has been corrected, and you'll see a hotfix that addresses that a little bit later in this as well. And then a more minor one, but the profiles, once they were connected, the CSV profiles for a period of time weren't showing the nice little indicator that it was there. So it left that question of, did my numbers come through correctly? So again, appreciation on the patience for that. And then confirming header row was not working correctly, as well as the period in a header row. And both of those issues have been addressed as well. So again, thanks for the patience. CSV is working just quite beautifully right now. Things are wonderful. And yeah, if you want to move on, we've got a couple more we'll look at in regards to our billing view.
Before I do, I want to just kind of like poke and prod the support team. We have an amazing support team, as you know, but tell me more about response times, because like I know, patience is one thing, but our response times are like bar none. Like we're getting back within like 2 minutes. Maybe highlight exactly like on in general, like how fast are we able to resolve most of these issues?
Well, that's a complex one, depending on whether or not we need to collaborate internally on these issues.
Yeah.
But our response time in terms of getting out to partners, if they've reached out to us during our business hours, is tends to be actually under around 25 minutes, speaking real time. But we do commit to under a 2-hour response time. But we are wicked fast. And I hate using the term we, because anyone who has interacted with our team knows that 90% of the time you're interacting with our wonderful senior support rep, AJ. We'll get him on here one of these months and we'll interview him and ask him just what he does. But yeah, it's super fast. We also do chat as well, and our chat response time is generally under 5 minutes.
And if you know anything about AJ, he has an amazing dog too. So if you just want to support, like open a support request just to screen share
chat with the dog,
and like who doesn't want to see Nugget, right? So we have an amazing support team. AJ is one of the best, and Stacey's overseeing all of that. So really cracking the whip when it comes down to it. So synthesized billing views. Tell me more.
Well, as you guys will recall, we just released this. This was a big deal here in March, and a result of a lot of wants and feedback. And of course, when you release any feature, there's going to be some improvements that come out, and things that have been found. So this is the result of that. A lot of changes here that have been improved. So on the list view, the bulk approve and dismiss cards would stay on the screen, and you would have to refresh the screen for them to disappear when they had actually actioned. So that has been corrected. And then bulk approval for some partners did not function as expected. For the card view, when approving a reconcile card, the dismiss count would not change to 0. So it didn't show that when addressing the card. The condensed billing view and dismissing a card, it would say contract updated instead of no changes, which led people, rightfully so, to think something had been changed instead of just dismissing or not functioning in action. So thank you again for those partners that immediately reached out with these experiences. With that, the response time of AJs we just talked about, we were able to get these issues immediately back to our development team within like the day of this being released. And to Brian's earlier question, the dev team is then able to turn around and really get this back out and working, as you can see here.
Yeah, and just to highlight, like, let's just make sure that we're not like causing a heart attack for anyone. When we say bulk approval is not working, it doesn't mean that you bulk approve and we're going to immediately make a mess of your contracts. That's not what's happening here. This is where we have that human intervention built in within synthesized billing for you to have greater control over your resale stack and those updates. Now, when we say bulk approval is not working, it just means that we're not updating your contracts, your agreements. So this is where we were able to quickly resolve that, and now it's working as intended. So further on that, we're going to be highlighting some extra features that are coming down the pipeline really soon when it comes to bulk setting effective dates, which is really exciting. More on that in a bit, but I just wanted to highlight we're not essentially making a mess of your contracts. It's just it wasn't working as intended, but hey, we quickly resolved that, and we're back to having a smooth bulk approval process there for you. Next up, integrations. Let's talk more about that. If I can get to this slide. There you go.
Let's appreciate it. So yeah, on the integrations, portion of the thing, let's talk about that. So the continue button wasn't available for connecting to the alerts portion if you were connecting to one of our vendors that offered both. This was quickly corrected once we had that found. And then auto mapping, the account portion on some of the integrations, normally when you go through, it will auto map those accounts for you. It was leaving them up for you to do manually. Sorry about that. Corrected. Regarding who wants to manually map, right? That's why we have auto mapping. So
especially when you have over 400 customers, that in itself, although it might like take a good 30 minutes if you have that many customers, like that auto mapping makes that super simple, super easy. So we wanted to quickly resolve that for sure. But again, it's one-time thing, right? Once you map those accounts, we're retaining and saving those for you. So although there's a little mishap, going forward, we should be auto mapping those if there's an exact match. Mind you, it's still, best practice if you can to have consistency with your legal entity names, your customer names with your vendor portals and that of your PSA.
Well said. Well said. With our LionGuard integration, and when I'm actually, before I do that, Brian, why don't you talk real quick about LionGuard integration and just how wonderful it is to be able to pull in some of that data, and then we'll speak here about the issues that were there.
Oh yeah, these are little minor things, but either way, LionGuard is absolutely fantastic. If you are a LionGuard partner, you have to check out our integration. This is where, if you're a LionGuard partner right now, you are probably using them in the first place because it connects with most, if not your entire tech stack. So this is what we're doing, is essentially taking those system inspectors, those integrations, creating custom metrics, querying the raw data that's extracted from those inspectors across all your environments, across all your managed systems, and then seamlessly synchronizing that into synthesized billing for you to then review and approve updates really easily. every month prior to your next invoice cycle, making things stupid easy. So
Well
that
said.
in
Well
a
said.
nutshell is our line guard integration. Check it out.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that. I just thought it was worth highlighting just how powerful and wonderful it can be. Regarding that, the couple of fixes that came out this month, some LineGuard users were unable to unmap an account if we had auto mapped it for them. So on occasion, we might not get it perfect, and it was discovered that we didn't like that very much. That has quickly been rectified to be able to unmap one that was auto mapped. And the last updated date on the integration was not displaying in our app as the last time it had updated. It did not affect the actual usage of the integration. The last couple things on here, just to highlight for the month that were corrected here, is there were a subsect of ConnectWise Manage users of ours that experienced some issues when they were adjusting service cards. Thank you again for their work with our team to go back and forth and get that corrected. That has been investigated and resolved. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to support. Autotask as well, some services were syncing in as service bundles, incorrectly, which caused a little bit of confusion on there. That has also been corrected.
Yeah, and I'm going to go out right here on a limb and just call out any MSP, any Autotask MSP. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to call you out. If you're using service bundles with an Autotask, you're doing it wrong. There's a better way of doing that. So this is where Synthesize Billing has the flexibility to not only bring in all of your revenue and cost of goods sold, so you're reconciling everything, all your component or add-on services, and auditing for compliance, making sure that those are not out of whack. This is where we can pull in everything. Mind you, if your contracts with an Autotask are configured a certain way. Now, if you want to learn more, contact us. We'll get you the article. If not, just go to our support center, look up PSA service guides, service bundle guides, or whatever. It's in there. Just go there, and we explain essentially what's best and how to go about that with an Autotask if you're wanting to break out your service bundles, all those add-on components, and effectively reconcile each and every one of those and audit to make sure that you're not over provisioning, under provisioning services and licenses, subscriptions, etc. So yeah, unpopular opinion, but I want to call you out because there's a better way of doing it. So
appreciate the thought. And Bryan has these opinions. He spends literally hours and hours a day working with all of our MSPs and getting in the trenches there. And so do appreciate the perspective on that, and do check us out for that easier way of doing things. On to the next slide, we had a hot fix go out here recently, and I just wanted to highlight why I included the hot fix here in the slide today. I'm sure anyone is familiar with companies. We often will push out little fixes or corrections for things, but it's important that we also have them documented out here for transparency's sake and for our compliances. So in this case, I mentioned or alluded to it earlier as I was talking about CSV. We had noticed some issues with some larger files coming through, and we addressed that, mid-cycle. There was no need to make you guys wait to reconcile your billing. Let's get this done. So a hot fix was pushed out on that end. So I have no further comments on bug fixes for this month, unless you have anything you wanted to add there, Bryan, before we swing on over and talk about some new integration.
yeah, it was a busy overall month, and really nothing changes month to month here because we are nimble. We move fast, and this just goes to show, even with the latest hot fix is that we saw an issue and we were quickly able to turn around on that within less than 24 hours. So, that partner that had experienced that issue were then able to successfully import that usage and get on with their reconciliation. So it just goes to show that we move fast, we care, and we will put out all the stops that we can to make your life easier. So awesome recap of the month when it comes to bugs and improvements. Now let's head over to integrations. Now, this is really where Synthesize platform really stands out from the rest, because this is where, again, we're creating this ecosystem. We're essentially that coupler that integrates with your vendors and seamlessly integrates with your PSA platform of choice. So if you haven't already heard, we announced CyberHoot. to our platform. CyberHoot is a software as a service product offering that helps companies build robust, compliance-driven cybersecurity programs that stand up to hacker attacks and compliance requirements. CyberHoot's various modules are provided all in one for clients to consume, including governance, policy, awareness training, product training, innovative phish testing, automation, and dark web reporting modules. So there's a number of services that we're pulling in from CyberHoot that you can now reconcile with Synthesize. So if you happen to be a CyberHoot partner, if you're on the fence with them, check out them. We have a launch and learn coming up here, so stay tuned to that. But any more on CyberHoot there, Stacey, that other than maybe like there's a connection between two birds
of a feather, we like to fly together. I was trying to find the moment to put that in there, but no, they're a fantastic, vendor to join us. Right now, the products, as you mentioned, they integrate in with this is the Power Platform and Autopilot platform, directly or specifically for those of you watching that are partners. And as Bryan alluded, check them out. We've got the launch and learn coming up. I'll make sure that's posted on our relevant media sites and things for you as well. And yeah, direct questions our way, their way. It's a wonderful, wonderful integration.
Yeah, and that's one integration that you can take advantage of within your basic plan, which will forever be free. So if you haven't already taken advantage of an integration and you can connect to CyberHoot, you can do that all for free. So go ahead and do it. Now, next up, go ahead.
Yeah, on the topic of next up, Bryan, I was going to introduce this next slide for you because as anyone knows, people who work in a success type role are always being told to hold up, just wait. So why don't you spill the beans? What's coming soon?
Yeah, it's really hard for me to bite my tongue because quite honestly, it's one of these things that is, it's coming, and just when it's sometimes a little vague and unclear. Coming soon. We've been saying this for a while. Keeper security, hey, they're like 90% there. It's going to be very soon as to when you're going to see that. So that's going to be a substantial integration coming to our platform because, as you know, password managers are one thing that really helps solidify and fortify password management and breach monitoring and whatnot. So there's lots of things that Keeper Security does for you, and for MSP, just an added line item that you can resell to your clients. So that's coming very soon. It is 90% of the way. So to be determined as to when that is coming alongside all these other integrations coming to our platform. Now, this is a short list. There are others that I don't even we're not mentioning here. Now, if you want to learn more, and maybe we can spill some more beans, but I would love to speak to you, show you what's on our roadmap, because again, we don't have that publicly available and we want to share these things, but there are a lot of things going behind the scenes. IGI Cyber Labs, they already have a Nodeware integration with us to automate billing reconciliation. QuickPass is coming out very quickly with a billing integration. This one's a little unique because QuickPass, as you know, is traditionally not necessarily a sell-through model because how they go about licensing is through that of per technician. So they are kind of changing things thanks to us and going to that of more a consumption-based model. So that way you can pull in the number of endpoints. So that's going to be another thing as you as an MSP can then resell. That's another revenue generating line item that you can resell or bundle in with your service bundles or packages. Power DMARC is coming, Magnus Box, Charisma, again, all coming very soon, to be determined as to when those launch dates are coming, but stay tuned for more. Anything else on that front?
I can think of a segue from Charisma into roadmap. Speaking of a charismatic person, we've got someone here we wanted to introduce and ask a few questions and talk about this gentleman named Roadmap Rick or Rick Stern or
the man, the myth, the legend, introducing Rick Stern, everybody, the Flamingo amazing product director at Grading MSP, with his beak on the pulse of product development. He's a real bird brain when it comes to strategy. He's always ready to flock and roll with the roadmap Rick, leading the way, keeping everyone's feathers unruffled with Update Rick, and delivering epic feature releases that will have your customers bewildered with feature release Rick. So whether you're looking to add some more flocktastic features or need a product strategy that's truly fly, Rick's got you covered. Rick, tell us a little about what you bring to our product and engineering team.
Oh man, amazing. What an intro. I love each and every one of those nicknames. Truly. So I am Gradient's product director. It says product dictator on the slide, but I promise I direct and not dictate. But yeah, no, I've been in product management for about a decade now. I've been a member of the channel for about 4 years. And I have been leading Gradient's product direction for almost a year now, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, no, it's my responsibility to kind of gather all the information that's floating around there from our clients, from our partners, internally, externally, synthesize that feedback qualitative and quantitatively, and work with our engineering team and our business stakeholders and internally here and figure out, what are we building and why are we building it? Who are we building it for? So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what I'm doing here.
So Rick, tell me one thing, like what is the one thing you like most about your role? Because I'm sure there's more than one, but what if you had to pick one thing?
Yeah, I really like solving problems. And I think that's what really drew me to product management in general is, there's no shortage of problems. Finding creative ways to solve those problems, things that people haven't done before is certainly a driver for me. And then honestly, problems that our clients have real problems that need to be solved. And the things that we're doing within Synthesize and elsewhere are solving those problems. And these things that people in the channel aren't necessarily doing. So we're providing a really unique differentiator for MSPs.
Well said. Well said. On the flip side of that, what's the most challenging part of your role?
Yeah, I mean, so
other than working with me.
Yeah, I mean, Bryan.
Yeah, Stacey, you're the best, but Bryan.
Yeah, we put Bryan on like a do not disturb mode for part of the time, and Stacey gets a direct. Yeah.
I always introduce a 2-hour delay on all my messages to Bryan to make sure he knows that how unhappy I am with it. But no, I think the hardest part of my job is, while I do like solving problems, there's no shortage of them. And really the hardest thing is gauging impact and priority for some of these things. Everything we do, we look at it through a few different lenses. What's good for our partners, what's good for prospects, what's good for our vendors. And for us too, I mean, we're a business as well. So what's good for Gradient? And ideally the perfect feature or product launch or enhancement kind of has all those lenses fully aligned. But more often you end up focusing on one or two of those lenses at a time. So it's really difficult to figure out a good consistent way to say we're working on this feature or this product ahead of this one because of X. And so you really have to have your finger on the pulse and really understand the potential impact and potentially the pain that users or our partners are going through if we decide to not do this at a certain time or do this other feature first. So that is definitely the hardest part. The other hardest part is typically releasing things. You always get a little bit of a rush when something you've been building over the last few months is currently out in production, and partners can start using it. And it's a little bit of nervous happiness of, are they going to like it? Is it working as intended? Is this going to be good for everybody? And then what's missing and what do we need to add on next type of thing. So that's another difficult part.
That's a good way to put it, and an interesting thought, is how that feels as the person putting it out there, to have it out there and essentially be judged and put through the ringer, and then have that feedback come back, that measure of success and that anticipation. That's well put.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
it's probably one of the most challenging things, and that's something that I admire most about you is despite you hearing from me, because I'm advocating for our partners, our success team is, and our partners have a ton of feedback. And we're going to talk about that in a second when we go to mention Flock Talk and our feedback portal. There is no shortage of suggestions and feedback for Synthesize and our billing and alerts module. With your feedback, though, this is really where we're able to then prioritize those things. And again, we're going to talk about that at Flock Talk in a moment here, but it just goes to the extent that we can't necessarily please everyone right out of the gate. And although we know Rick is a people person and he likes to people please and all that, and certainly I'm the one that's doing the same. It's really hard, and this is where no vendor, no PSA, no MSP bills or alerts the same way, and there's so much complexity when it comes to billing and billing alone. So it's extremely challenging thing to do and prioritize those with the time and resources that we have available. Even though we have a fantastic dev team, it's there's no shortage of challenges that come across when it comes to as simple of a thing as releasing something as like a bulk approval. Like there's so many things in behind the scenes that we have to solve for. So definitely appreciate you having that strategic approach and mapping out our roadmap, which eventually will become public. Is that not right, Rick?
Oh boy, wow, that's
I'll challenge you on that. Make it public.
Yeah, I do believe in public roadmaps. I think it's really good to see what we're building at any given time and the priority of that. I will say that Gradient is we're definitely pretty agile. So there's a good chance that when we put out a roadmap that's available for public consumption, that it may change 3 weeks down the line just because we've decided to move something up and push something back, or something important has come up. So it would certainly be a dynamic roadmap and not necessarily a like a static artifact or something like that. But sure, Brian, eventually
that's fair. But
yeah,
we'll get there, Rick. Right? But
yeah.
in the meantime, I mean, if you're a partner, you can just go to Flock Talk and see those features that are planned. Right?
Absolutely.
Is that one way of getting around that? Yeah. So
yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Sorry, Stacey, not to interrupt
No.
you there. I think you have a couple more follow-up questions for Rick.
No,
because
it's actually that leads quite brilliantly into it. And I think, Rick, you already kind of answered one of my follow-up questions, but one of Brian and my responsibilities arguably is to take all the feedback. We're talking to these partners and seeing what works. And we put it into Flock Talk, into an internal system, the same way our partners do. And my question to you is why? What does that do? How does that help you? As you just said, it's agile, right? So with all the feedback going in there, can you help us understand how that helps you, first and foremost, to go to the executive team or whatnot and say, hey, I know we were going to build, I don't know, say ListView that just came out, but actually these partners have come forth, or how does that help you tell the story for your job?
Yeah, certainly. I think one of the great tools at product's disposal is data. And that's not just looking at numbers, but looking at sentiment as well. So when you have product feedback come in, and we'll get to what Flock Talk does specifically in these ways in a minute. But when you have that information come in, getting the number of people requesting a specific thing, as well as their actual sentiment towards that and how they would specifically rank it, is really great ammunition for me to go and say to exec or engineering and say, listen, 30 people have requested this very specific thing, and it's a relatively low lift for us to address. This would be a high impact, low effort type of feature or enhancement or launch. that I think would really drive value. And by the way, here's some data to back that up. So, getting that type of user feedback is really critical in our decision making and our planning process. And I've been a part of a few product orgs over my career, and I have actually seen some really negative associations with product feedback and user feedback, in that we solicit, we ask for it, but it would then just kind of go and end up in this black hole, or it would live in someone's inbox or in an Excel spreadsheet, or a forum that people look at once every 6 months. And that type of feedback loop never really sat well with me. So when I came here, and we kind of had the mission to really take product feedback and user feedback and incorporate it into our planning process, I knew that we had an opportunity to do something different here. And I think that's kind of where Flock Talk came from over the summer of 2022.
Brilliant. I'll share one last thing with you, Rick, before you have some pretty exciting things to cover here with Bryan on the next couple of slides. But one of the parts of Rick's role or product role is to manage some of the things internally that we need as well. So as the manager of support, there's often requests for sending over to the development team to do small little changes on behalf of partners that would just be wonderful if we could do ourselves. So we had been kind of advocating on behalf of partners for this speed to go better. And Rick, thank you. Part of your job was getting some administration tools made for our team, and that matters for numerous reasons. Not only does it keep that support time that we're so proud of down low, because we can turn around and service our partners faster, but it also that lift for the dev team to build that tool for us, the return on their time to be able to put more of these features out. So I just wanted to highlight that not only do you work on behalf of our partners, but we also advocate and use the same processes internally to get the tools we need built from our own team. So thanks for all the cool things that you do and for answering a few of my questions.
Of course, happy to help.
And being patient with me. All right, next up.
Patience with Bryan.
Let's talk about patience and the soon
I'll
to
lower
come.
that delay to an hour and a half instead of 2.
Yeah, let's talk about patience and the soon to come features, and some that are actually hitting the books in the month of March. Let's talk about setting an effective date. So Rick, why don't you just share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I think we have 3 features to talk about here. So one of the things that our partners have been asking for some time now via our feedback tool is, we have the ability to approve and deny or approve and dismiss cards or lines if you're using the new list view by multi-select, and we call that a bulk action. So you can approve 30 cards, you can dismiss 40 cards, whatever your heart desires. We also allow, when you're actually changing unit counts and jumping into a contract and a service and looking at, I want to increase this unit count to 3 units by the end of the following month, and you can set an effective date for when that change is effective. Our partners have been asking us to do this in bulk, because there's a good chance that I am changing this usage at the same date for the entirety of my services, or the entirety of other services that fall under this contractor or under this client. So set effective date essentially allows you to select any number of cards or rows and enter a single date once, and that action will propagate down into those services and contracts, and it will update based on that date. And then anything that for some reason the contract could not be updated in the PSA, maybe the contract date range does not support that change, we will highlight that in a follow-up modal so that I need to go look at these 2 services that for some reason have an issue.
Right, and this is only available for those PSAs that support prorated
Absolutely,
transactions.
Yeah. Not every PSA is incredibly robust, but for the vast majority, like ConnectWise and AutoTask and Synchro, they should be just fine.
Awesome. Yeah. So this is like increased flexibility for you as an MSP. So every PSA has a little nuance nuances when it comes to how we go about updating those contractual line items and recurring services within agreements and whatnot. Every PSA is a little different in that sense, but for the most part, this is where we have feature parity across all of our features. This is really where the challenge lies when it comes to Rick and the product and engineering team to create these great features. Now, if you do bill in arrears and you're an MSP that has to go back after, maybe you do receive your vendor usage like 5 to 10 days after the previous month, well, guess what? You can go back effectively now and update those as of that day. So this is where bulk set effective dates is really going to open the door and further optimize your billing process. Now, this is where, like, if you do bill in arrears, this is where, like, I will continue to beat that drum and advocate for you to make the switch to bill in advance. It is your best interest as an MSP to bill in advance, because quite honestly, most MSPs do. So this is where our platform is honestly optimized to bill in advance. So again, coming into at the tail end of the month prior to your next invoice cycle. And again, this is where if your vendor does not support an on-demand subscription export, talk with them and mention us, advocate for us, get us in contact with them. We have a great tech alliance team, and we want to push the envelope when it comes to abiding by billing best practices. So if your vendor doesn't do that, let's keep pushing them, and let's hold them accountable for allowing you as an MSP to resell their goods and services better. So again, we have more flexibility coming down the pipe, and this is just one of those features that will further provide even more value. And there's some MSPs that do things a little bit differently too. So if you happen to be an MSP that has to, bulk select upgrades or downgrades and set effective dates according to those things, we have that flexibility now. And this is going to be launched, I believe, the first or second week of April. Is that right?
Yeah, it's in testing now. Should be beginning of April. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Next up, filtered headers. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, this was a small change, but I think is going to end up driving a lot of impact. So we have heard from our partners again that they would love a higher level view of the profit and revenue for specific selections in their billing dashboard. So instead of just copying over and making a large convoluted client view, we're allowing you to really easily select a client or a service or a contract or a series of contracts and see what the filtered profit and revenue changes are for that particular billing period. And it's really to drive additional insights and information to MSPs, really trying to understand, okay, what's my delta for this specific billing period, and then what's the delta for a very specific contract or account or service moving forward. So it's really a small thing, but I think it will definitely bring more information to MSPs that are front and center, and things that you probably should be tracking on a monthly basis of, what's my delta between this month and last month.
Yeah, we love widgets. We love filtering. Could you share with us some more as to what's coming down the roadmap here with advanced filters and potentially some more feature enhancements to the header?
For sure, yeah. So filtered headers is, I think it'll be out by the time people are watching this. But beyond that, in early April, we have another side project around totally rebuilding how we handle filters. Adding multiple filters at the same time, persisting those filters for your session and future sessions, and really just offering additional ways and flexibility for our partners to come in here and structure their view, how they want to conduct their reconciliation for the month. We really want to get to a place where we're not forcing you into a specific way of organizing your data once you've brought it into Synthesize, So we're going to allow you to customize that truly as much as possible. And another basically rebuilding filters from the ground up in early April is definitely a good way for us to do that.
Yeah, look forward to reviewing that because that was very much requested across the 850 plus partners that we currently support right now. So there's going to be lots of flexibility when it comes to advanced filters. And one of my favorite things that is coming to that is the ability to filter by service card. So this is where in our application, this is where we essentially identify those agreement additions or those contract line items as service cards or rows. And so when you synchronize vendor usage, we identify like a couple of service cards or rows, one of which is a newfound revenue card, a downgrade indicating that you actually went down quantity, an upgrade indicating that you have provisioned more subscriptions, licenses, agents, etc. And those no change cards where it's just, again, where you get into this monthly cadence of coming into Synthesize, synchronizing that vendor usage, you're probably going to see more and more of those no change cards. And that's great news because that just goes to show that you are, across the board accurate and you have invoice accuracy. So the more you use our platform, the more you're probably going to see less discrepancies, which in turn is good. But this is where one of my biggest, I'm very keen on this ability to filter by service card, because again, you probably don't necessarily even want to even be bothered with dismissing or approving no change cards. So this is where you'll have that greater granularity of diving deeper into your data that you're seeing on the billing screen there. So really, really excited about those advancements there. Now, let's talk about the big announcement. That's by the time that you view this video, we'll probably have already broken LinkedIn. But tell me more about custom integrations.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had for a while now, we've had a pretty robust API that we offer to our vendor partners to build an integration with us, either through our billing module or our alerts module, or sometimes both, which is preferred for sure. And over the last maybe 6-7 months or so, as word got out of how robust and easy to work with our API is, some MSPs were actually coming to us and saying, hey, listen, I'm not a vendor, but I can build an integration between a vendor that Synthesize doesn't support just yet. And I would love to take that vendor usage, given that they have an API, and connect it to your API and feed information down into Synthesize so that I don't have to import a CSV every month to get that data into Synthesize. I can just build my own and kind of bring the data in that way. So we, for a little while, we were planning on essentially moving forward with custom or community-driven integrations where you can request to build a custom integration. It is self-serve if you're a pro user, to come in and essentially let us know what type of integration you're interested in building, letting us know which vendor you plan on building against. And then we have a whole set of API documentation, as well as an upcoming SDK for you to download and get started right away. And we actually have some really fantastic, UX and UI enhancements where if for some reason the routes that you're calling are not really functioning properly, we'll show you that, oh, you haven't really actually sent over any accounts or any usage yet. And you'll get a nice little widget here in the middle that will tell you, if the API status is okay or not. So the goal is really for us to offer a tool set to MSPs to really bridge the gap between their favorite vendors and Synthesize. And obviously we are continuing to work with vendors on a monthly basis, as we saw earlier in the presentation. But for some of those vendors that haven't quite gotten to us yet, this is definitely a good route to go if you happen to have somebody in your company that has a small amount of coding knowledge. And in the future, there's some really, really exciting stuff around custom integrations that I can't talk about yet. But
not until June 1st, right?
Not until June 1st, not until leg up 23.
Yeah.
But I will say that if if you're really dead set on building your own, this update is really going to be for you. And if you're eager to see what other people are building, you'll have to register for Leg Up, and we'll have some more information about that there.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this because I myself have dabbled in API and REST API, and I know a couple of languages like your JSON and whatnot. But this is where like I'm eager to get my hands on this, so I'm really excited to leverage that SDK. I've seen the mock-ups and the demos of this, and it's absolutely fantastic. The ability for us to be able to create these custom integrations in app by leveraging our easy to use and user friendly API is like it's truly groundbreaking, because this is where we're throwing another tool in the toolkit for you to synchronize usage from your vendors or turn on potentially an alerts integration. So this is where, if CSV imports aren't your preferred method of synchronizing data, and you just don't want to be bothered spending the 5 minutes exporting and importing every month, by all means, let's take a look at custom integrations. And again, this is hidden behind Billing Pro, so it does require you to upgrade. But again, this is where we're really excited as to what's coming next. And again, register for Leg Up 23 if you haven't already, because there are some amazing announcements coming following custom integrations, which are really exciting. But the UI in making these things is super simple. I've seen it first myself, and I just can't wait for myself to get hands on this and start building custom integrations with partners like yourself. So yeah, any more to be said on that? Like, there's so much regarding integrations, but again, we gotta like bite our tongue and not say too much, because yeah.
I will say that the engineering team did a fantastic job in getting our API in a place that is as open as it possibly can be. So we asked them to do it, and they definitely did it. So big shout out to them, and I'm excited to see what MSPs build. Because really it's the door's open now.
Yeah, and I probably and less sexy is just talking about security and like the benefits that come with creating a custom integration with a platform like ours. Now, of course, we're compliant in GDPR, HIPAA, SOC 2 Type 2, like we're hardening our security very much so. And when it comes to our gradient API keys, we're no strangers to security and compliance and whatnot. So what's the true benefit of even just creating a custom integration with our platform rather than you doing it yourself? On one side of the equation, we're handling integrations with your PSA platform of choice. So we're continuing to iterate and expand our feature sets when it comes to those billing and alerts integrations with your PSA. But like that API that we built is so robust and so easy that you're effectively, when it comes to billing integrations, you're just synchronizing usage to your use case. So it's as easy as that. And then this is where you have that human component, that ability to have greater control over your resale stack. So once you pull in that usage from your vendors, well, guess what? You have the opportunity to validate and double check those things prior to you even approving those updates and writing back to your PSA. So like, could you just like in a nutshell, like take the next couple of minutes just expanding on that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if how many of us have actually seen a PSA's API, but they range from obtuse to annoyingly complex. So the danger is real that if you try to go off and build your own PSA integration between a vendor that that you're using, and you try to directly feed that information into the PSA of your choice, that could have some pretty disastrous side effects in deleting contracts, clients, accounts, sending things incorrectly, and maybe even taking your PSA down. Who knows? And there's really no danger in doing that when building a custom integration with Synthesize, because we handle all the PSA API side for you. You integrate with us, and all you have to do is connect your vendor to us, and that usage will come into the dashboard, and nothing gets sent down into your PSA without you actioning it. So there's really it's really a preferred way and a more secure way than trying to build your own on both sides. Instead, just trying to build a synthesized custom integration between your vendor and us is really it's really a no-brainer, and really the more secure way to go about it.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good point to just bring up, just because, we're doing a bunch of the heavy lifting, and we've seen MSPs through this beta that have created integrations in less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
So that just goes to the extent of how easy it is to build. And with our SDK, that's probably going to be expedited even more so. So really looking forward to that. Now, we can talk on end about custom integrations and what's coming next with custom integrations and whatnot, but let's talk about Flock Talk. Let's talk about our feedback portal. Take the next couple of minutes just talking about this. I know we already highlighted a few things, but tell us more. We want to know more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we like I said earlier, we didn't want client and product feedback to kind of go into this black hole where, at best we would look at it every once in a while. That's just not how we do things. So we have been using a platform for another thing for product management, and they actually offered this platform that offered a feedback portal. So we branded it, we called it Flock Talk, and we customized it to our liking. And what it allows us to do is allows us to solicit that feedback directly in application. And you'll see that on the left side, it opens a small modal. All you have to do is click find fill in the product, and then you can submit a request. And if you are requesting something that someone else has already requested, it will ask you to comment on top of that. So it really helps us because we don't have to go in and look for 18 requests in their own threads for the same thing, pretty much. So that it's definitely a win for both sides there. But not only that, I mean, you can also say, I think let's say I've suggested 5 things in the past. Not all 5 things can be the most important topic to somebody. And yeah, sure, those opinions change over time. But if you've suggested 5 things, you get to rank which one of these is the most important. That helps us gauge sentiment and priority, so that when we look at some of these feature requests that have 80 requests but are really low on the priority scale, it's telling us that sure, this is something that people would like to see, but they're not really dying to get it. And they can endure a little bit of pain, or there's another way around it, in the short term, where it allows us to work on something that's a bit more critical in the short and long term. So the feedback portal is a really good way for us to get the qualitative side of things, how many people are requesting a specific thing, the quantitative side of things, the qualitative side of things, which is give us your sentiment and rank it based on your priorities, so we know how important it is to you. And for us, we have about a bi-weekly meeting where we go through and we look at all the new things that have come in over the last 2 weeks, and we say, oh wow, this is something we haven't thought of before, or yeah, we know that this is something we have on the roadmap and it's planned. We can update those statuses to inform you that something you've requested is either awaiting feedback, so we're looking for more people to comment on it. It's within our roadmap, we're building it, or when it's released, we'll shoot you an email when it's released. We'll come to you. And it's a good way to really close out that feedback loop that really goes in the complete opposite direction of being a black hole. We are really trying to enforce you coming in, leaving a feedback, us consuming that and putting it within our planning process, building against it, and then we'll inform you when we ship it. And that's a really good way to keep the community involved, for sure.
Help make Rick's life better, essentially.
No, it's not just me, it's everyone. Everyone's.
Yeah, that's right. So ask a question, leave a comment, vote on a feature, suggest a feature, prioritize those features. Again, you can just go to Little Phil or Phil the Flamingo on the bottom right of Synthesize. That's our resource center. You click share your feedback. You can even open that in a portal, which you can view all of the feature requests within that dashboard. And again, you have reign to comment and vote on any one of those. We love to hear some more feedback on that. Now, finally, let's wrap this thing up with upcoming events. We got a bunch of really cool events coming up, one of which is Leg Up. It's Leg Up. This is our second annual Leg Up conference. Back in the day when we launched Billable, which was our previously known billing module, we announced that back in November 11th of 2021, actually, if I recall. So it's been a while. It's been a year since we've had a Leg Up conference. Now we're bringing that back up. So this is June 1st. We're diving into this fully interactive virtual space that you won't believe. So if you have some nostalgia of rendering yourself as a 32-bit avatar, this virtual conference is for you. There's going to be over 1,000 attendees in an interactive virtual platform that goes way back to the typical Zoom call. So this is where you can create your avatar, visit booths, and listen to insightful speakers and network with your peers in channel. Heck, you can even have a bubble so you can talk to someone that's bumping next to you as you're taking in the keynote. So this is where, again, you're going to be able to meet new friends, old, and have in-app video chats on the fly. You can throw confetti. You can even dance. Heck, you can even do like a confetti hand clap. I don't know. There's some really cool things. We might have some even sprites in there where you can even have a Pokemon follow you for the day. I don't know. It's just going to be fun, beyond fun. We're going to be sharing massive platform announcements, deep data industry insights, trends, letting you geek out while you better your business. So sign up if you haven't already. Go to legupconference.com, register today, and we can't wait to see you there. Anything else there? Did I miss anything? No?
Yeah, I think you hit it there, Brian. That sounds like a really, really fun time and a little bit nerdy. So why don't you talk to us about the nerdy birdie?
The nerdy birdie. What a good segue. So this is coming up in April. Join us April 18th, which is, I believe, the Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be welcoming Morgan Greff, one of the three Greff brothers that we employ here at Gradient. He's the director of engineering. We're going to showcase how custom integrations can unlock significant value in the way you use Synthesize. The topics that we'll cover is everything from demonstrating how to use custom integrations and again, how to unlock that greater value. The importance for you as an MSP to learn those building blocks with billing and alerts integrations, leveraging our Synthesize API, taking a deep dive into that SDK that we were talking about earlier, the benefits, rapid to market, effortless to build, start to finish guidance on how to build custom integrations like this. If you have any remote understanding of APIs or custom integrations and you want to get your feet wet with this is the webinar for you. And we want you to be there because we want to hear from you. We want you to engage with us, interact with us, because we want to answer all your questions that you have surrounding custom integrations. So come register, learn more about direct integrations, build your own direct integrations. It's going to be awesome. And yes, if you haven't already met or heard from Morgan, he's quite the character. He's an awesome guy. If anything, you might even have a laugh or two. So this is going to be awesome webinar. Anything else that's coming up that we haven't quite already covered? I don't know. There's a bunch of upcoming events. If you don't already know, go to meetgradient.com, go to upcoming events. We have a lot of blogs, white papers, podcasts, webinars. Heck, there's no shortage of content that we're throwing out there. So go to meetgradient.com, learn more there. And lastly, let's just wrap things up. Anything else that we need to say before we send adieu, and until next day, next time. I don't know if there is anything that we have to say here. Just say it now, Stacey.
Yeah.
Stop me from talking for one.
I'm trying. No, what I wanted to do there was just thank you, Bryan, for taking the time to run through this with everyone, share this information. But secondly, Rick, for taking the time out of your day to join us on this today, to share your thoughts and opinions and just give us some insights into the inner workings and share that. We're working really hard and fast here at Gradient. And this is just one more of those ways that we're trying to reach out and share all of the moving pieces and all the ways that we're interacting and valuing feedback. So Rick, thank you for your time today and for sharing. And Bryan, as always, for your leadership, your insights and whatnot on here.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And until next time, stay calm and flock on. See you next time.